Hi guys, Peter Finch here and welcome down to the final Tech Tuesday of 2017. So rather than your weekly look at golf technology, we're going to be having a yearly look at the technology which came out in 2017. So I'll put stuff out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter asking for your main talking points, and I'm also going to throw in a few of mine today, and we're going to do a top 10 list. So the first thing is Tiger Woods, and he switched to TaylorMade at the very start of this year, and also with a slightly earlier move. Was it later move? To his balls to Bridgestone. Now, throughout the whole of the year, it looked like a, well, it can only be described as a bad move because he wasn't playing at all. But, apparently, from what we've seen so far, he is back for good. And as well as being a popular Take That song, he also looks like he's playing some decent golf as well. So that moving into next year, I think that will start to become a little bit more important for TaylorMade and for Bridgestone, because what we did see when Tiger came back is the interest in that event just absolutely soared, it absolutely peaked, and he does push the needle whenever he plays in an event. More people watch, more people are interested. So I think going forward for TaylorMade, for Bridgestone and his other sponsors, and of course Nike, who have stuck with him throughout everything, you know, you should see that start to pay dividends for them. And as far as everyone else, it's just very interesting to see what he is using and what he is playing. And it looks like he's been trying out the new drivers, so the M3 and the M4. The official details of these haven't been released yet, but it looks like they're the evolution of the M1, the M2. So one with more movable weight technology and the other a little bit more of a simpler driver version. Now, when the M1, the M2 originally came out, they were absolutely stunning as far as what they did in the market. Golfers absolutely loved them. The new M1 and the new M2, even though I thought it was actually quite a wise idea not calling them anything different, because TaylorMade have been stigmatized so much for bringing out lots of drivers, I think it didn't quite hit the spot as other drivers have this year that we'll go on to talk about. But I think the way the new ones look, they look absolutely amazing, and from early testing, what people have been saying is that they perform very well as well. So I would expect to see a very strong start for TaylorMade early on next year. I kind of blended in quite a few things. I might have to add something else to the list. And throughout all of these, guys, get in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this list, and let me know if you think we missed anything out and what your thoughts are about everything discussed. So next up, there's been a big push in what players can use on course this year. So what you tend to find is, now that the driver market, the iron market and the club market generally, you can see a lot of the barriers there being almost pushed up against. So certainly as far as what ball speeds they're allowed to be, so what they're allowed to do within the rules, you can certainly see a lot of drivers actually struggling to get any distant gains year on year, and that's just, it is what it is. That's not a great surprise to many people. But what companies are trying to do now is switch more into what you can use on the course. So we've seen a big rise in what you can do as far as GPS is concerned, and a big switch in that has been what to do on mobile devices. Now with mobile devices, mobile phones, I've never ever said mobile devices. Why did I say mobile devices? A lot of those are available for free as well, so it's not even like you're having to pay to get GPS as you would have had to 4 or 5 years ago. So that movement there is, I think, great for golfers, because it's easier to get more stuff for free, and everyone knows about golfers, they love free stuff, and I'd expect that trend to continue into 2018 and keep pushing forward and improving. One big difference which I've seen within the industry, so as far as golf professionals are concerned, is a lot more pros are getting into launch monitor technology and generally using better technology within lessons. I've always been pretty consistent about this point. I think that pros should invest if they can within technology. So at the Quest Golf Academy, we've got multiple launch monitors, cameras, force plates, 3D systems, throwing out yesterday's drink bottles. And I think to get the very best out of a lesson, you should go to someone who uses technology. It is still possible to give a very good lesson without using any of these things. However, I think it does help the package as a whole. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And what you're seeing now is, because quite a few of the launch monitors that came out 3-4 years ago, they're still very good systems, and they are now available at a slightly cheaper price. So there's a lot more pros buying up these products now and actually utilizing them within coaching sessions. And that, as far as the game is concerned as a whole, is a good thing. Now, going to a pro who knows what they're doing with the launch monitor, that's maybe something that takes a little bit more research to do from a punter's perspective, you know, if you want to go have a lesson. But generally, I think the quality of coaching is improving. One trend that we saw with a lot of manufacturers this year is a push towards much higher end, much more expensive products. So if you're thinking about a PXG, who really are the standout name as far as this category, if you can put it like that, is concerned. But you've also got other companies like Callaway releasing the Epic irons, you know, really top-end premium irons. Title is releasing on a smaller scale concept irons as well. You see these manufacturers really launch this high-end, high-priced product, which is more expensive than what they are already bringing out, which by no means is cheap. And people are buying them. Now, if that's something to do with performance, I doubt it. I think it's more of that status symbol. But it is a trend that we are seeing. And you see companies like PXG, they don't necessarily have to sell loads and loads of product because they're bankrolled by a billionaire. You know, he's not really fussed in many respects. Obviously, he's concerned about how his business is doing. He's not a billionaire for no reason. But Bob Parsons is very much in love with golf and in love with what he's doing. So I would expect PXG to stay around for quite some time, even if they're not making loads and loads of money, because he can afford to have it just breaking even. But this is something I would love to ask you guys about as well. You know, what do you think about these premium products? Have you bought any of the premium products, so the Epic irons, for example, or any PXG stuff, or some of the other products that are out there? And do you actually see it make a difference? Is it more of that thing where you just want that super new shiny thing? I would love to know. And talking about new shiny things, one big talking point from this year was manufacturers bringing out stunning looking irons. So you got Mizuno with the MP18, you got the new Titleist blades, you got the Callaway MBs. There are so many pretty clubs out there at this moment in time. And although, you know, real blades and that smaller club head, even though they look fantastic, I'm very aware that many golfers will not be buying that type of product because it is harder to hit. However, it just shows that the manufacturers still can bring out that classic looking beautiful golf club. And I am definitely leaning maybe towards getting something like that next year. On a similar note to something which came up before about the proliferation of on-course tech, stats apps have really started to explode this year. Another movement in technology that we've seen in why am I saying mobile devices? In mobile phones is the use of stats apps. Now, I've just signed a partnership with IRONS Pro to really push towards using more strokes gain system next year, which I'm really excited about. But there are so many apps out there now which are free to use. So to use that example, IRONS Pro is free, you can use it, you get your strokes gain, you got an inbuilt GPS in there, but there's loads of other apps like that out there as well. And that is great. That is great for a golfer to be able to get access to stats apps, free GPS, everything on a mobile device for free, which 10 years ago you'd have to pay quite a premium price to have. And now we're going to move on to one of the big success stories for a company this year, and that is the Callaway Epic Driver Iron and Fairway Wood series. Now, I've already spoken about the irons, that premium price product, which, yeah, it's a really good iron, it has to be said, and they sold it in a limited quality and they did very well. If those irons are actually any better than the other irons that Callaway produce, I'm not entirely sure, because they do produce great irons as well. However, as far as the driver market is concerned and what they did with that product, that was the big success story. And as always, with any product release, it's not only about the quality of the product, it's about the marketing, it's about how they communicated that message. And having a new technology in there, so the jailbreak, which is basically two bars which connect the crown and the sole of the club, and it's meant to do a lot of things according to Callaway. But the way that they marketed that, jailbreak technology, is a very good name, it's something which hasn't been seen before, and they really pushed it very hard. That's all the culmination of what you need, as well as obviously having a good product as well. It really took off. And it has to be said, Callaway, probably out of all the equipment manufacturers, they do digital advertising and digital marketing the best out of all the companies. And you see it a lot, you know, they really exploit their players. Not exploit's not the right word, but they use their assets, if you want to look at it like that, as far as their players and as far as the people they have signed up to play their equipment, really, really well. And it just hammers home the message that it's something fresh, it's something new, it's something exciting, and that's what people are buying into. As far as what jailbreak technology does, I've tested the product, it's great, but it's not any better than the TaylorMades and the Ping and the Titleist. It's just a really, really good driver, as the others are now. But having that communication, having that message that really engaged with golfers, that's what made it the biggest win for Callaway this year, and they really grabbed a massive market share with that product. Another big move this year is Addy have sold TaylorMade. So TaylorMade have been bought up by a private equity firm, and I've had a look at the new TaylorMade products coming out and what they are going to do and how they're going to be received, and I have to say it looks really, really good. There's no official announcement been made on this yet, but in January all will become clear. I think a lot of people are going to like what they're bringing out. So early indications would show that that break and the private equity firm which have bought TaylorMade off Adidas, that looks on the face of it like it might be quite a good move, but only time will tell. And as far as Addy are concerned, they're going to be focusing on what they want to do most, which is sell golf apparel, and some of their new stuff for the new year also looks really, really cool, and there's some really big announcements going to be coming on that very soon. One product this year which has flown very much under the radar again is the new Ping stuff. So the G400 drivers, fairway woods, fantastic clubs, absolutely fantastic clubs, but I think Ping don't do quite as good of a job as some of the other manufacturers, such as Callaway for example, of really getting people excited about their products. Because when I hit the G400, the driver for example, in the fairway woods, I was hitting it, I was thinking, God, these are good. I was looking at the numbers, yeah, these are really good. It's really solid, it looks nice, and it was just, even though I was really happy with the performance, I wasn't like on the edge of my seat. So if that's something Ping need to improve upon, I'm not sure, but what they manage to do every single time they bring a club out is produce something which the general golfer absolutely loves. So your mid-handicapper, if they get a Ping driver, they know exactly what they're going to get. They're going to get a good performing product which is forgiving and which goes a decent distance. So Ping clubs, if you are looking to get a driver for example, or a fairway wood, even the hybrids are fantastic, which perform really, really well, bear that G400 range in mind, because it is very good, even though it's maybe not as sexy as some of the other clubs. And lastly, one of the massive talking points from this year, and one which has been the most interesting to watch in many respects, is what the golf ball market has done. So you've seen this year so many smaller manufacturers, and I've tested quite a few of the balls. So you've got your seed balls, you've got your encore balls, you've got your vice balls, which have been out for a little bit of time, and you've got loads of other smaller golf ball manufacturers now making fantastic products. And of course you've got the Kirkland signature ball from Costco, which really helped shine a light on this smaller movement of golf ball manufacturers who were producing this great stuff. And then you've got companies like TaylorMade who produce the TP5 ball, which I think from a premium ball standpoint for me has been the standout performer this year. It's such a good ball. I think when you put say TP5 next to a Chrome Soft for example, similar in feel, similar in distance and all this other things, but as soon as there's a little bit of wind, the TP5 is superb. I honestly would recommend that ball to use, to have a go with, even though it's probably performing exactly the same as a Pro V1, because it's a little bit newer, it's a little bit more exciting. It's, yeah, I would recommend giving that ball a go if you haven't already. And certainly a lot of my friends who I play golf with and a lot of the pros who I talk to, a lot of them have switched into that, so it's well worth giving it a go. But the golf ball manufacturing story, I think, has been the standout this year. There's so many interesting little products and stories coming out of that market. That's probably been the most interesting to talk about and to practice and to play around with. Right guys, thank you so much for watching not only this episode but all the Tech Tuesdays throughout this year. The Tech Tuesday and the Finch Fridays, they are going to be carrying on to 2018 as well. It's just nice to sit down on the camera, chew the fat with you guys. Comment below, let me know what you think about what we've discussed here. Let me know if you've missed anything, I've missed anything, and what you think maybe should have been included in this list, because let's face it, there's so much that could have been spoken about. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on my other social media platforms as well, and we'll see you down here next time.